Hello, beautiful souls out there. Thank you so much for everyone who has reached out to me after sharing my last video. I had such amazing, wonderful, open-hearted conversations that I would like to really appreciate and say thank you for, because I believe there is so much potential that we are carrying within us that only if we share it opens up a whole new world for each other that we can grow from and get inspired from one another. So one topic that came up in one of my conversations was about how do we actually in our life differentiate self-love from egoism, because it is sometimes not as easy to differentiate. And I would today love to share a few aspects of how I personally do that, and also my understanding of egoism and self-love in this world in a visual concept that makes a lot of sense to me personally. So I am sharing this with you because I believe it can also help and inspire others. I am not trying to convince you that certain things are a certain way, because I believe that everybody in this human every human being has their own truth, and we only just see one piece, one slice of a big cake that is ultimate reality. So they can coexist, so we all just see one slice. But if we open up and share our experiences and truth, I believe that there's so much potential in growing, in opening up, and being much more rich inside our hearts and souls. And it helps us to live a life in much more peace, live our life in purpose, fulfillment, and reach a much deeper and more constant happiness and love in respect to every living creature in this world, and first of all also in respect to our own being. So let me start sharing that concept with you first of all, and I will be back talking about a few more topics that I would love to share with you as well. So let's assume that this is our soul. Before we are being born, or after we die, these souls are floating free. If we reach enlightenment, they can fully float into each other without a block. However, if there is something blocking us, let's say it's like a dark matter, it doesn't allow us to fully merge and align, because it never allows the other to go deeper until a certain point. So if we are born into this world, we need the I am experience, the ego experience, in order to reach enlightenment and to work on that layer. Why would we aim for enlightenment? Here is what I believe and experience along my own path. Living in line with the highest truth creates lasting peace and love that isn't bound to outer conditions anymore. It creates the deepest level of freedom, which helps us to reach a state of oneness with everything that surrounds us. It is the deepest possible connection that we can experience. Personally, I am convinced that this state will help our soul also reach to a higher sphere whenever we die and our ego is not part of us anymore. So as we are given the ego in order to be able to reach for a higher state of consciousness, we have one part of our ego which is based in self-love. It protects our own well-being and health in order to allow us to reach our maximum potential on earth to fulfill our soul's purpose. It helps us also to fulfill our basic human needs, such as sufficient nutrition, safety, recovery, touch, and balance, in order to be the best version of ourselves. So, being the best version for ourselves really means also being the best version for everybody else, and it is not a comparison by any means. So, it does not mean at all being better than another person. It really means unfolding our full potentiality and our full potential and truth in our lives with whatever we are doing and living to our fullest. And it is something that requires a lot of self-reflection and a lot of time that we spend looking inside ourselves and observing ourselves as well, what really makes us happy from a deep perspective. And unhealthy ego is something that can actually distract us a lot from that. It can blur our vision to what really matters to us, which can happen by conditioning. It can happen by things how we get drawn too quickly and forget on the way what actually really means a lot to us and what matters to us. So unhealthy ego, how is this being created and how can we distinguish from self-love? In my perspective, unhealthy ego always is based in a feeling of lack. So it is based in something that we compare ourselves to one another and we feel, oh damn, we are not good enough, or we can't do this well enough, and we always get a feeling of not being enough. That said, it will always cause a feeling of compensation. We always want to compensate that lack with our intentions, and suddenly our motivations change. So we might do good things, but the motivation behind it might be from, I'm not enough, so I have to do this in order to become better and make a better impact, which at the beginning is actually something, it might be a good deed too, but it's super important to know the purpose of why we are doing it. Because when we do something fully from love, we are not expecting back. But as soon as we are doing something from a perspective of lack, we are always expecting back, and we are not as free in the way how we give as we could be. And the full meaning of that love is not the same anymore. Now, after having looked at all the separate explanations, I would like to show you a graphic which I have created and find super helpful in understanding the connection of all these aspects. In the middle, we have the healthy ego as a core of our soul, which is taking care about our own well-being and healthy state in order to live to our full potential. If we live based in that core understanding and follow our soul's mission, we get feelings of tolerance, unity, creativity, forgiveness, understanding, wisdom, gratitude, and many more. Let's now look at the dark layer of unhealthy ego or egoism, which is based in feelings of jealousy, anger, blame, hate, and many more. This layer is active whenever we get out of our healthy balance, whenever we put ourselves above or below others, based in feelings of lack. Now, this can also be caused by not taking care about our healthy ego enough. We can get unconscious or burn out ourselves, which is leading to an imbalance to be compensated. And if that happens unconscious, we fall easily into these dark emotions, rising to be driven by unhealthy ego or egoism. Now, what is super important about that is, and it was one key understanding in my own life and healing journey too, is that we should not actually fight these emotions or decline them as a part of ourselves. What I mean with that is
that we sometimes need to feel these emotions in order to give us the opportunity to see where in our lives we need to work on, where we have hidden fears, taken on hidden feelings of lack, or wherever we are simply not caring for ourselves well enough to live a healthy life in balance. These can, for example, pop up as we are not sleeping well enough, overworking ourselves, or not eating well and regularly are all but day surrounded by negative people. What I personally do and recommend here is taking them on with gratitude in ourselves to help us grow, taking time in silence with ourselves, looking at the root of what need is actually really behind those feelings. This will give us a much deeper understanding of who we are and guide us back into our healthy ego state, living in deeper alignment with our own soul. So now, after having had a closer look to all these layers and how they relate to one another, we can look at whatever happens if we feed those layers with our intentions and actions. If we feed the unhealthy ego with our intentions and actions, it grows because everything grows that we put our focus on. It may be an unconscious focus if we are not taking the time to reflect on ourselves. We might still put our focus in feelings of greed, in anger, in madness, and whenever we act from that place, it makes our unhealthy ego to grow. That means as well, on the other side, that there's less space for the feelings of our soul, and we would miss out on feeling more love and feeling really deeply connected with one another because there is a wall that we build that is preventing us to feel so. At the same time, we can say that our unhealthy ego shrinks as we practice meditation, we take care about self-reflection, and we act from a state of awareness and consciousness, whatever we do. Then our soul has much more space for these wonderful, loving, and appreciating feelings that connect us with one another. So, last but not least, I would like to show you how I distinguish these different voices from one another and what characterizes them. The healthy ego's voice makes basic remarks for our own well being in a loving and kind way. The needs are always referring to ourselves for creating balance. For example, I feel hungry, I need to eat. I feel tired, I need to sleep. I feel hurt, I need to forgive. I feel sad, I need to love. Here it is important that we need to create within us at very first what we want to resonate with on the outside as well, because if we don't find these things within ourselves, we cannot truly receive them to that level. The unhealthy ego's voice is characterized by being judgmental, and it can be super pushy and change from one extreme to another in order to influence us quickly. It works with fear or extortion, and it seeks for compensating lack. The needs are always comparing to the outside. For example, if I don't do this, I will not be liked or loved. I will not be valued. I need to be better than someone else, otherwise I do not matter. I am not worth, strong, talented, beautiful enough. Others are better. The soul's voice, for example, is loving in general, intuitive, wise, constant, never pushy, inclusive, and sees the challenges of life as an opportunity for growth, others as an inspiration. For example, I am good the way how I am. I only grow and improve based on my own performance to become the brightest and most loving, kind, and powerful version of myself. There is space for everyone to unfold their truth and dreams. I am touched and inspired by the talents and abilities of others and wish them to be successful, rich, loved, appreciated to their inner riches too. I am not measuring myself against theirs. Whenever we combine the healthy ego's voice and our soul's voice in our actions and thoughts in our lives, this is really when we feel magic is happening.
So now I can just say that in my own life, magic has been happening and so much lately, and I so appreciate and value now what I have been going through in the past, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I wouldn't have gone through a lot of darkness in my own life and through a lot of depth, and had to face my fears and had to face all the feelings of my unhealthy ego too, in order to be able to understand myself in a much deeper way and to make much more space for the beautiful love this universe has to give. So in that sense, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it had some value for you too. And if so, I would absolutely love to hear about it, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.